Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Today, honestly, weekend filler. Look, man, it was Christmas, and I've had a couple lists that I've just been holding on to for you. Now, this first list has been completely blocked by an ad for Brad Pitt's F1 the movie. Now, I could just edit this out, but that's not fun. Hey, guys, I'm trying to read the list here. How do you clear this ad? Oh, there it goes. From Deadline, Comics Who Won 2025. The ad is back. I could edit this out, but wouldn't you rather just hear me slowly lose my mind as I try to do this? Where was I? Comics Who Won 2025, a look at 14, who leveled up with explosive professional growth. Why 14? What a weird number. This is by Matt Grobar in Deadline. As I like to do with most of these lists, I haven't looked at it yet. But I am going to hit Command++ to make the font bigger. Somebody's getting old, can't see anymore. Deadline writes, we've honed in on 14 comedic performers who achieved explosive professional growth in 2025, whether by substantially boosting their ticket sales or social media following, landing a coveted role or development opportunity, or elevating to a new tier of venue as a headliner. It should be noticed, this list isn't all-encompassing. You won't find Jim Gaffigan listed here, even if he did the unthinkable by putting together nearly 45 great minutes just on the topic of bourbon. I'll push back on the word great there. I'm going to use both hands to push back on the word great. You won't find Nikki Glazer, who's elevated to the A-list with an array of starring vehicles lined up, nor Tom Segura, who landed his first Emmy nominee for Bad Thoughts, and I'll point out, played the Riyadh Comedy Festival. Deadline says we generally try to avoid arena-tier comedians, though a couple snuck through. Let's look. Number 1, Max Amini. Now, I'm already fascinated by this list. Max Amini. You know how many times I've mentioned Max Amini this year prior to today's episode? None. And I concede, I suck at this. I'm the worst. I don't know anything about comedy, and I'm terrible at hosting a podcast. But I can tell you, almost every day, I Google the word comedy, and I also Google the word comedian, and I also read several entertainment websites, including Deadline, and I'm sitting here right now going, Max Amini? Who? Deadline tells us. This year, he has performed 150 sold-out shows in 19 countries, selling over 200,000 tickets. In March, Amini released his latest special, Randomly Selected, seeing it pull in a whopping 16 million views on YouTube. Deadline writes, remarkably, this special is not only the top-performing special of the year across all platforms, per Nielsen numbers, it's also the 9th most viewed on YouTube of all time. Now, again, I'm terrible at this. I suck. But I did read other people's lists. No one mentioned this. The LA Times didn't mention this. Vulture didn't mention this. The YouTube algorithm hasn't put this in front of me. What is going on here? Did I move to like a parallel universe where this guy's the top comedian? Described by Jerry Seinfeld as one of the hottest comedians to watch in the next generation of comedy. As of this month, he's Instagram's number 2 creator, period, behind only Mr. Beast. Amini generated 2.77 billion views on the platform this year and has now surpassed 6 billion all time. I know somebody out there is screaming, okay, boomer at me right now. I get it. I totally get it. I see these numbers and I'm like, wow. And I'm not saying anything negative about him. I'm just saying, wow, how is all this happening without hitting the mainstream media at all? Like zero. I listen to podcasts about comedy, haven't heard the name. I read Deadline, I read Vulture, I read Variety, I read The Hollywood Reporter. I haven't seen the name. Am I insane? Am I losing my mind? All right, I guess we got to pay attention to Max Amini. Respect. And fine, I'm an old man. Call me whatever you want. I'm stunned right now, which is why I don't read these articles in advance. I'm just stunned. Okay, number 2, Leanne Morgan. Leanne, I've heard of. She's in the news all the time. Number 3, Josh Johnson. Again, makes sense. Is Josh in the mainstream press every day? No, but is he in the comedy press a lot? Yes. Do the people I interact with regularly mention Josh Johnson? Yes. Max Amini? Not so much. Again, I'm just confused. Lund writes, this year Josh Johnson elevated into the rotating host schedule on The Daily Show. His tour, which kicked off in January and continues through February with 300 shows in 111 markets, is all more impressive that he's done it with zero promoter marketing money. He's going to play 4 sold-out shows at the Palladium in London at the end of January and will play 5 shows at the Beacon in New York City, then 5 sold-out shows at the Chicago Theater on Valentine's Day weekend. Yep. Massive. He's known for taking to YouTube with his new long-form topical stand-up set on a weekly basis. 49 of his last 50 videos have reached over 1 million views. Absolutely. Breakout year. Number 4, Ali Sadiq. Again, a name that has come up a lot. Per Nielsen numbers reviewed by Deadline, My Two Sons was the third most viewed special on any platform in the last year. Sadiq is also on the 20 stand-ups to keep an eye on in 2026. I'm saving that list for January 1st. Haven't looked at it yet, but now I just got spoiled by one of the names. Number 5, Jimmy O. Yang. Johnny Mac loves Jimmy O. Yang. Deadline deep dives here into Jimmy O. Yang's international success. Good call there. Number 6, Nurse John. Now, Nurse John is someone who's been on my radar, but not someone who I talk about on the show. A nurse-turned-viral creator and comedian who blew up online with relatable portrayals of life working in healthcare. Number 7, Morgan J. Again, a name that has come up a couple times, which is why I'm just totally bewildered by Max Amini. And again, maybe you're all listening to the podcast, hitting delete, going, what is wrong with this Johnny Mac guy? But I'm just bewildered because the name did not come up this year. Morgan J now has a full live band accompanying him at some of his larger shows. This year, Jay boosted his profile in film and TV with appearances on Apple TV's Stick opposite Owen Wilson and Mark Maron and on NBC's St. Denis Medical. 8, Osko Otkotska. You've heard me talk about her for the past few years. Good call there. Number 9, Mo Amer. I'm a big fan. I've liked all of his specials, and as I always say, he's got something to say. I like him a lot. 10, 3-time guest Gianmarco Ceresi. Still comes on the show. Hasn't Jim Gaffigan me. Cool guy. I've been a follower since I saw him at New Faces, and he's hilarious, and you watched his YouTube special, and I think we all love Gianmarco Ceresi. Number 11 on Deadline's list, Robbie Hoffman. Yep, like I said, once I saw Mulaney was producing her special, I was like, all right, I got to beef up on Robbie Hoffman, and I became a big-time believer, and I think a lot of you became big-time believers when you watched that special. Robbie Hoffman is fantastic. I mean, the trivia guys have conversations with me about Robbie Hoffman at the brewery. Number 12, Caleb Heron. Not my cup of tea, but sure. His top episode of his podcast reached over 5 million viewers on YouTube. That's not how podcasts work. Don't get Johnny Mac started on podcasts versus YouTube shows. You listen to a podcast. Read my Substack if you want to hear me rant about that. Number 13, Jeff Arcuri. All right, let's see what they say here. The other comic who won 2025, who was part of our 2024 Comics to Watch list, is Jeff Arcuri, who recently completed a 9 sold-out show residency at the Wilbur in Boston with 9,000 tickets sold. Curry rescheduled a good chunk of this year's tour to be by his wife's side during her treatment and pledged to donate $1 for every ticket sold on the tour to breast cancer research. Recently, he taped a Netflix special during 5 shows at the Celebrity Theater. Number 14, Zakir Khan. India's Zakir Khan leveled up from theaters to arenas, going from playing the theater at MSG to Madison Square Garden itself. He did. Khan this year became the first comedian performing in Hindi to play Madison Square Garden in New York, as well as Scotiabank Arena in Toronto twice, and the Coca-Cola Arena in Dubai. He's also the first Asian comedian to headline and sold out Royal Albert Hall in London. Really, really fantastic list by Deadline here. Great job. And I think it's just illustrative of just how much comedy is out there. I mean, a couple of those names I imagine were off your radar. Clearly, some of them off my radar. Really, really great job by Deadline. All right, we'll take the break, and then I've got a different list for you. I've been sitting on this one, and this list came out well before the murder of Rob Reiner. This from the Boston Globe. They were ranking the top 10 network sitcoms of all time, and their headline was All in the Family, Seinfeld, ranking the top 10 network sitcoms of all time. So I'm just pointing out the timeline there to show that whatever is to come here was not influenced by the Reiner murders. Let's see what the Boston Globe says. Here are the criteria and rules. Network only, 30 minutes, strictly comedy. I love Freaks and Geeks, but it was a 1-hour show. I also love Curb, but it was part of HBO, which, as the old catchphrase told us, wasn't even TV, all right? The Globe says they've tried to avoid recency bias, and here is their list. Number 10, Good Times, CBS, 1974 to 79. It's easy and not unfair to dismiss Jimmy Walker's dynamite antics as a modern-day appendage to minstrelsy, but consider how radical it was to put on a show about life in the Chicago projects created by 2 black men on a primetime network in 1974, and that gospel funk theme song, hard to front any of that. All right, number 9, The Office, NBC, 2005 to 2013. I imagine if you listen to this podcast every day, you are familiar with The Office, so I won't bog down on that. But it's crazy to have The Office behind Abbott Elementary, ABC 2021 to the present. The Globe writes, but Abbott moves towards the top of the class largely through the easeful, good-humored way it addresses the perils facing public education. So are you saying the office walked so Abbott could run? Number 7, The Honeymooners. CBS 1955 to 56, so they're including the classic Honeymooners there. If you deep dive on The Honeymooners, there's a lot of later episodes and like TV movies and weird stuff. Number 6, Cheers, NBC 1982 to 1993. The Globe writes, yes, I'd get run out of Boston if I didn't include Sam Malone and his beloved bar. Number 5, The Simpsons. Is The Simpsons a sitcom? Interesting. I guess we could argue that. I don't feel like The Simpsons is a sitcom. I feel like it's a cartoon. I feel like that's its own thing. Number 4, All in the Family. CBS from 1971 to 79. Debates raged over whether the series was lampooning a bigot or celebrating him. All in the Family mattered in a way that few, if any, other sitcoms have. Number 3, The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Now, if you ever go back and watch that has aged really well. They point out that Ted Knight's Ted Baxter was Ron Burgundy before Ron Burgundy. Really, really well said. I'm going to steal that line next time I'm talking about my love of Will Ferrell movies. Boy, that is a great point about Will Ferrell. Wow. Yes. Okay. Love it. Number 2, Seinfeld, NBC from 1989 to 1998. And I was going to sit here and wonder and speculate what they would have at number 1, and then my eyes went down and I accidentally spoiled myself, so I know the answer, but how about you? What do you think? What haven't we mentioned yet? I'm just trying to rack my brain here. Happy Days? MASH? What else do people like? People like Parks and Rec? People like 30 Rock? Raymond? People like that one? Nope. They have as number 1, I Love Lucy from CBS from 1951 to 1957. Again, can't argue with the pick, but on the other hand, we've been doing TV now for another 70 years, and no one's been able to do better than I Love Lucy. That in itself says something. They write, it's the fountainhead of the genre, not the first sitcom, but the one that showed how it's done. It still helps that it's still very, very funny. Okay. I won't lose my mind about that list. That list is not awful. I'm sure if I sat here and thought about it and made a list, I'd have a different list. But not crazy. Okay, and as weekend filler goes, I enjoyed today's episode. I hope you did too. Tomorrow, a look at the top 25 stand-up comedians of the 21st century so far. I've got some thoughts. Meet you back here tomorrow.